So, I've been kind of nostalgic for the days of anime yore when older anime could be released here in the States. Yeah, back in the days of 2000, 2001, the major anime companies here in North America would license and release anime that was sometimes 15 years old for no real apparent reason, as opposed to these days when there needs to be a coordinated crowdfunding effort in order for us to get a dub for Dirty Pair. But in the Wild West days of the early millennium, you could conceivably release an anime like The Samurai, a 1987 one-shot OVA based off a manga that I think was originally published in 1984. Information about The Samurai is pretty scanty, all things considered. So a lot of this review is just going to be me talking about my experiences watching it. But first... Learned my lesson the last episode. So what is The Samurai about? It's about a samurai. Or at least a teenager that follows the way of Bushido.
Takeshi, you stupid lunatic! You better not do anything to get me killed!
Don't worry, little flower, your suffering will end quickly.
Apparently, at school, he's being accosted by two twin girls who also happen to be ninjas.
Akari, I demand to know why you've come to this school.
You know why? We want our sword back!
Sword? You don't mean... this sword, do you?
Apparently, this teenage samurai, Takeshi, has a family heirloom of the ninjas and they want it back.
Take it if you can!
There they go, right on cue.
At least it keeps class interesting.
And that's the entire anime. No, really, that's all there is to it.
Haven't I told you before?
I think by now you can tell that this is supposed to be a comedy, and it is. And unlike our last review, this comedy actually has some legitimately, intentionally funny moments.
You people need to stop behaving like animals and start acting like high school students!
If you really think about it, teacher, we are acting like high school students.
Ow!
Even the plot itself is rife with comedic potential. I mean, a samurai in modern day Japan. Well, modern for 1987 Japan. That in of itself is a pretty good setup for a comedy because now you have this ability to contrast the older ways and traditional ways of Japan with modern Japan. And contrasting is a wonderful tool to have in your comedic writing tool belt, as it were.
Akari! Kaguri, I don't have time for this tonight! It's past my bedtime!
Maybe it's because I just came off of a Assemble insert, but I found myself laughing pretty regularly at and with The Samurai, so it made for a pretty good comedic experience. But let's not exaggerate, this isn't like some kind of undiscovered gem or anything like that. It's mostly just a lighthearted, pretty run-of-the-mill comedy that just doesn't fall on its face. Or rather, it falls on its face when it intends to, and doesn't when it doesn't intend to. You know you're watching a quality anime if in the very first 5 minutes of the anime, they pull an Ace Ventura. I don't want to drive the point home too hard, but if we're going to be talking comparatively, The Samurai has Assemble Insert beaten pretty much every area comedically speaking because it's working with a more broad sense of humor, and because of that they know where to frame and how to frame the intended joke. And that focus is on the characters acting like complete and utter idiots.
Here, Takeshi, would you like some hot tea?
No thanks, I'm in the middle of a battle. Maybe some other time.
Not for nothing, but Slapstick is pretty much the bottom rung on the comedic ladder, but because of that, everyone gets it. Everyone has context. Slapstick really is the universal language of humor. You don't need an entire country's history and cultural context to understand why seeing somebody getting kicked in the nuts is funny. Everyone just seems to be on the same comedic wavelength, so the laughs just come easier in The Samurai. if you want to talk about humor beyond just the broad strokes and the nudie humor, as it were, which the Japanese love for some reason, it still works better as a comedy because the story actually tries to use these characters for comedic effect. Takeshi is an honor-bound, stern samurai in training, and of course he gets tongue-tied and goes completely bonkers whenever he sees a nude woman. And even that dovetails into a running joke throughout the anime, though I will admit it does wear out its welcome before the end.
Ow!
Thank you.
Takashi, calm down. You're making a scene.
I'm indebted to you for life.
Ow!
Atsuko, I'm indebted to you for life. Thank you.
The dub even does a kind of good job in maintaining the laughs and even inventing a few laughs here and there with some pretty good ad-libbing. They even write some lines that poke fun at the anime itself.
What's that? It's an infrared scanner. Picks up body heat. What, don't you have one too?
But that's not to say they don't get too cute, if you catch my drift.
Get back here, Takashi!
Would you like a cup of tea?
Oh, thank you.
I knew we never should have taken the girls off their Ritalin.
Even the premise of the story is pretty funny when you realize that the only reason why Takeshi has the family heirloom knife to begin with is because the twin ninja's father gambled it away for no real reason.
If you win, I'll give you the Toki family heirloom sword.
And for some reason, their ninja father looks like a goddamn CPA.
Hello?
Mr. Toki, what the heck are you doing down here?
Well, I know Granny and the twins planned all this, but I feel kind of responsible myself.
Because you are kind of responsible yourself. I'll admit that the OVA works better strictly as a comedy rather than as a story in of itself. Like, the whole reason why Takeshi just doesn't return the heirloom right away is because the knife reminds him of his dead father, and you get the real sense that they wanted this moment to hit harder than it does, but because the story is so focused on getting the laughs, it just falls flat and it feels out of place as compared to everything else in the anime. And the gags do kind of wander into weird territory, like towards the middle of the anime when his teacher decides to help Takeshi get over his fear of girls.
Okay, Takeshi, now that we've got you acclimated, let's just see how you handled the real thing.
This isn't creepy at all!
Mrs. Yamaguchi, it's not what it looks like.
You're right, this isn't what it looks like. It's arguably much worse. This goes back to what I was saying about the Japanese and their fascination with jokes revolving around naked women. How many times have we seen this scene before? Like, countless amounts of times, right? But the samurai manages to take it one step beyond by having Takeshi's sister just routinely hang around the house in a negligee.
And all this nonsense is because you refuse to return the stupid sword to the Tokis. What if one of us gets hurt by accident? Right, Mom?
Nearly every scene she's in, you can see her jubblies, and no one points this out at all.
Oh my god! Hell must have finally frozen over. Why else would the walking monk be reading pornography? Huh?
When I saw this for the first time, I was smacking my forehead every single time she came on screen. I just kept waiting for there to be a reason why she's dressed like this, and none is ever offered. It's actually kind of funny how infuriating that is. At the end of the day, The Samurai is basically just a dumb, harmless comedy, and while that bar might be pretty low, considering some of the anime comedies I've seen, that bar might as well be a mile high.
However, it could be worse. Okay, I've got my energy back. Ready when you are, boss.
I really didn't know what to expect going into The Samurai, and to be met with competent mediocrity is actually kind of a pleasant But I gotta tell you, I kind of like this role that I've been on lately, going into anime that I have yet to see and just kind of riff off the cuff about it. So for next episode, I think we're going to be talking about yet another samurai anime that I have yet to see as of the date of this recording. Till next time.